earlier than the recent Western thoughts. But when we talk about science or contribution of Indians in science, there is a very important quote of Dr. C.V. Raman, where he's saying that there is only one solution for India's economic problems, and that is science. More science and still more science. So you can see that emphasis on science is being given in Indian system, not only from the ancient time but also in the modern time. Let us talk about first science in ancient India. There is a Acharya called Bhaskaracharya II. His time is around 1114 to 1185 AD. He talked about gravitational force. If you read the commentary in the name of Siddhant Shiromani, he has described there that objects fall on Earth due to a force of attraction by the Earth. Therefore, the Earth, planets, constellations, moon, and sun are held in orbit due to this attraction. He is talking about Gurutvakarshan or gravitation around 500 years before Newton. And in our ancient Sanskrit literature, you will find a lot of such slokas where a lot of scientific discoveries have been mentioned. You can find it in Rig Veda, you can find it in Yajur Veda. And Bhaskaracharya was a very great mathematician too. If you see his commentary, you can find that he talked about the mean longitudes of the planet, the true longitudes of the planet, the three problems of diurnal rotation, then lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. Then he also talked about latitudes of different planets, then rising and setting of sun, then the moon's crescent, then conjunctions of the planet with each other, then conjunctions of the planets with the fixed stars, and the path of sun and moon. Bhaskaracharya was a great thinker of his time. He was one of the greatest astronomer and physicist we can find. And he was not only one. One such name you must have heard, Maharshi Bharadwaj. He was around 4th century BC. And in his book, Vyamanik Shastra, he discovered and wrote about the way in which airplanes or spaceships appeared and disappeared, and the way in which they traveled from one planet to another. Another very famous contributor in ancient Indian science is Acharya Sushruta. We all call him the father of surgery with lot of respect. He wrote Sushrut Sahita. He was in between 1200 to 600 BC. Exact year is not known, and even some mythological texts claim that he had learned surgery from the Dhanvantari, the guru of Chikitsa. His book has detailed descriptions of toxicology, pediatrics, pharmacology, Ayurveda, and other fields of medicine too. Along with Acharya Sushruta, we also recall Maharshi Charak. He was around 200 BCE, and in his book Charak Samhita, he talks about Indian Ayurveda, known as the first text of Indian system of medicine, and it is a compilation of 8 books and of around 120 chapters. Who can forget the contribution of Acharya Kanath? He was 2nd century BCE and known as father of atomic theory. Many hundred years before Dalton, he founded Vaisesika School of Indian Philosophy, and he explained that every object of creation is made of Anu, which in turn connect with each other to form molecules. You must have heard about Patanjali. He is the father figure for yoga, which is again a natural science in India, 400 CE. If you see his book, Yoga Sutra, he introduced the science of yoga. He prescribed the control of prana, life breath, as a means to control the body, mind, and soul. And he proposed 84 yogic postures to enhance the efficiency of the respiratory system, circulatory system, nervous system, digestive system, the endocrine system, and many other organs of the body. You must have heard about Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta was famous astronomer and mathematician in ancient time. And he wrote Aryabhattiam in 499 CE. And he was the first who proclaimed that the earth is round. It rotates on its axis, orbits the sun, and is suspended in space. What a great discovery was it! And as a mathematician, he also contributed in arithmetics, algebra, plane trigonometry, spherical trigonometry, continued fractions, quadratic equations, sums of power series, and table of sines. The tradition continues to modern India. Now let us talk about some modern Indian scientists who have contributed a lot and place us in the world map. Who was Jagdish Chandra Bose? Sir J.C. Bose was a physicist, biologist, and archaeologist. And he pioneered the investigation of radio and microwave optics. His famous paper was The Electromagnetic Radiation and Polarization of Electric Rays. He also invented the crescograph, which can record even the millionth part of a millimeter of plant growth and movement. He was the first to invent a wireless corer radio signal detector and an instrument for indicating the refraction of electric waves. Prafulla Chandra Ray, the greatest pharmacologist in India. He was very famous academician and chemist, and he founded the Bengal Chemical and Pharmaceutical, which was India's first pharmaceutical company. Satyendra Nath Bose. You must have heard about Boson. He was a very famous mathematician and physicist. He is best known for his work on quantum mechanics. He provided the foundations for Bose-Einstein statistics and the theory of Bose-Einstein condensate. He was contemporary to Einstein and he worked with him. Boson, a class of elementary subatomic particle, is named to commemorate his contribution to the science. Then Meghnad Saha. Meghnad Saha was a very famous astrophysicist who developed Saha ionization equation, which is used to describe the chemical and physical conditions in stars. He invented an instrument to measure the weight and pressure of solar rays. C.V. Raman, who can forget him? Sir C.V. Raman won the Nobel Prize in 1930 for his Raman effect. In its explanation, he said that when a beam of monochromatic having single color light passes through a transparent substance, it scatters. He studied the broken light and he found two spherical lines of very low intensity, or you can say strength, parallel to the incident monochromatic light. This showed that broken light was not monochromatic, though the incident light was monochromatic. Hargobind Khurana, who was an Indian-American biochemist, he won Nobel Prize in 1968 for demonstrating how the nucleotides in nucleic acids control the synthesis of proteins. He was the first scientist who chemically synthesized oligonucleotide, the world's first synthetic gene. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, known as father of Indian nuclear science. He was a theoretical physicist, best known as a chief architect of Indian Atomic Energy Program. He established India's first atomic research center, which is now called as Bhabha Atomic Research Center in Trombay. Then Vikram Sarabhai, the satellite man. Vikram Sarabhai was instrumental in launch of India's first satellite, Aryabhat. He studied cosmic rays under the guidance of great Dr. C.V. Raman. And he also pioneered the idea of giving education to the villages through satellite communication, which is now very common. Subramaniam Chandrasekhar, and again an Indian-American astrophysicist who won Nobel Prize in 1983 for his research on the evolutionary stage of massive stars. He showed that the mass of a white dwarf could not exceed 1.44 times that of the Sun. This is known as the Chandrasekhar limit. Dr. Salim Ali, the Birdman of India. Dr. Salim Ali was a naturalist who develops ornithology. He also referred as Birdman of India. He created the Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary, which is known as Kevladev National Park, and he also prevented the destruction of Silent Valley National Park. He wrote the Handbook of Birds of India and Pakistan. A great mathematician, Srinivas Ramanujam. Srinivas Ramanujam is known as India's greatest mathematical genius, who worked with great G.H. Hardy. And he is known for his brilliant contributions to mathematical analysis, number theory, infinite series, and continued fractions. Paleobotanist, Birbal Sahani. Birbal Sahani is known for his research on the fossils of Indian subcontinent. He was founder of the Paleobotanical Society, which established the Institute of Paleobotany on 10th September 1946, which initially functions in the Botany Department of Lucknow University. Now it is known as Birbal Sahani Institute of Paleobotany. And who can forget Dr. APJ Abul Kalam, known as the Missile Man of India. He developed the satellite launch vehicle SLV, which put the satellite Rohini into orbit. He has crucial role in development of India's missile and nuclear weapons programs. Prithvi, Trishul, Akash, Nag, Agni, he developed under his leadership, and he was the 11th President of India. And he was a great thinker, a great scientist, a very polite human being, and a very respected teacher. He used to say, in science, impossible does not exist. India needs a new generation of creative scientists. So dear friends, it is our duty as science teacher that in our classroom we should develop a sense of pride towards the contribution of Indians in the growth and development of science, and let us make our children a curious,